that when you consider the experience and the experiencer together, you must remember that they are one. The clay and pot are one. The gold and the ornament are one. The wave and the ocean are one. The pot is never seen without clay. The ornament is never seen without the gold. The form is never seen without the essence. What is the form of existence? Experience. What is the essence of the existence? Experiencer. They are always present. So if you remove this assumption, and the question itself goes away. But if you still have any doubt that yes, the experience can disappear and something will remain in the existence, let me know. When did that happen for you? Let me know through your direct experience. How was that possible? That the whole form of the existence disappeared someday and we had to find what happens in the existence. If all the forms disappear, who is there to know what remains in the existence, whether non-living or whether living, whether something that cannot experience itself or whether some other kind of illusion experience? Who will remain? How will that knowledge happen? So these questions, they fall in the category of what if questions. What if this happens? What if that happens? We also call them imaginary questions. So the answer will never appear. The answer will never be obtained because there is always an assumption in the question. For example, I imagine that I have 1 million in my bank account. Then I ask, what will be the life like if that 1 million disappear? It is an imaginary question because there is no 1 million there. These thoughts or questions are produced by the mind because it is still dwelling in the thought, not in the experience. Path of knowledge is based on direct experience. No theory, no imagining, no concepts. Come in the present. Whenever you encounter these kind of questions or thoughts, what if or imaginary, which is never in your direct experience and will never be, it is impossible to be in direct experience. You should sit, simply sit, watch the illogical thoughts, because obviously it is simply imagining something. There is no logic behind it. And come back in the present. What is now? That's all you need to do. Sometimes I say jokingly that on the path of knowledge, we will never get any answer. Only the questions are destroyed. Why is that? Because all questions arise from not knowing your true nature, not knowing that you are that existence. All the questions arise from some kind of ignorance, some kind of assumption, some kind of imaginary concepts in the mind. And as soon as we see that, yes, there is no such thing, it is simply imagination of an indoctrined mind. When that is seen, the question is destroyed. Why? Why no answer? There are no answers. There is no knowledge in the existence. There is nothing to know in the existence. You are that. See, is there anything to know in this pure being which I am? Whatever it knows, whatever this instrument knows is false. Whatever impressions this memory gathers from the senses is actually an illusion. The best that can be done is that we can remove these illusory concepts and come back in the pure being, pure state, where there is no need of any question. It is already whole and complete, full, beautiful as it is. There is no need of the pollution of the mind. So when we come back in this state, that is called the state of bliss and peace. Existence is not something very big which has countless things which we can know. No, it is this present moment, right now, right here. You are the whole existence. Nothing else is there. Everything that appears is false. That which perceives the appearances is the truth, is the essence. There is nothing to know in the false. It will be all false. There is nothing to know in the truth. It is already without any qualities. There is nothing to know there. It is just being. Knowing, not knowing, ignorance, knowledge, they happen when there is thought. Especially the thoughts which say, look, this can be true. Look, that can happen. So simply observe that this is all is going on. And it is also fine because this is going on in the complete emptiness of what you are, on the empty screen of what you are. Nothing is wrong here. Assuming that whatever the mind is saying is absolutely true, there can be an answer. That is simply disturbance in the bliss. Once you know yourself, all questions are silenced. There is another example of imaginary questions. What will happen if the existence disappears tomorrow? It seems to be very logical. Because everything comes and goes. What if the whole existence disappear? So can there be an answer for this? Or do you need to really find an answer for this? Or do you need to simply find the cause of the question? The cause of the question is existence is assumed to be something which comes and goes and happens in time. Existence is simply seen as an experience that happens. And it is assumed that there is somebody, something which will remain after the existence is gone to know what happens. So, a lot of ignorance. That's all there is behind this question. Especially after doing the basic analysis and advanced analysis, these questions should disappear. Nothing will come, nothing will go. There is never a moment where there is no experiencer. There is never a moment where there is no experience. The moment itself assumes that there is time. Appearance and disappearance. These sentences assume that there is time. But there is no such thing actually in existence. It is timeless. So it will be totally incorrect to say that there is never an experiencer, or to say that there is never an experience, or to assume that these two things are independent. One can disappear and then we can check what happens to the other. No, they are mutually exclusive, but they are one. Experience cannot be the experiencer, experiencer cannot be experienced, but they are one. When you want to study them separately, you come down to the level of duality. Forget about the one part of the existence and start analyzing the remaining part. That is possible. But as soon as you consider them both, you must come into the level of non-duality, because they are not separate here. And you will see that the relation between the experience and the experiencer is not of dependency. It is of oneness. It is not that the experiencer is dependent on the experience, that if one goes, I also go. No. And it is not that the experience is dependent on the experiencer. If the experiencer disappeared, who will experience? No, this question should not arise. The relation is not of dependency. One face of the coin does not depend on the other face of the coin. They are one. This is the nature of the mind. It keeps producing something. It can be desire. It can be memories of the past. It can be something imaginary. But that is not called contemplation. That is not really contemplation. Contemplation will cause silence, like he said, because the question is destroyed, and when there is nothing to think about, the mind becomes silent. Or it will think something else, because that is the nature of the mind. It is always moving. So for a second, it drops. And slowly these events become more and more. And you can find that unnecessary thoughts are gone.